Welcome back to The Explainer. So today, we're looking at a completely monumental shift in how one of the world's largest railway networks moves its people. On July 17, 2026, Indian Railways is officially flagging off a train that literally represents the ultimate leap in sustainable mobility. We are talking about a massive transition, leaving behind the era of coal and steam, skipping past imported diesel, and jumping straight into a zero-emission hydrogen-powered future. It's a staggering engineering feat, and I am absolutely thrilled to break down exactly how they're pulling this off.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at the hydrogen rail revolution, how the magic actually works, the safety blueprint, the Jind refueling ecosystem, and finally, costs and what the future holds.
Starting off with Section 1, the hydrogen rail revolution, featuring a true broad-gauge titan.
And this brilliantly illustrates what we're talking about. This isn't just some tiny experimental novelty project. It's a massive leap forward for the Atmanirbhar Bharat, or Self-Reliant India initiative. Developed entirely from the ground up, this is India's very first hydrogen-powered train, built specifically for the 89-kilometer Jind-Sonipat route. It was integrated completely in India by Meta Servo Drives, and it's a broad-gauge Titan designed for heavy, everyday passenger use, cruising at design speeds of up to 110 kilometers per hour. To truly understand the scale of India's ambition here, just look at this passenger capacity for the 10-coach train set. 2,600. That is huge. Commercial hydrogen passenger trains that are currently operating in places like Germany or France are typically way smaller, usually just 2 to 4 coaches meant for light regional travel. Indian Railways has essentially taken this brand new technology and immediately scaled it up to meet the enormous demands of high-capacity mass transit right out of the gate. It's an absolute game changer.
Moving on to Section 2, let's look at how the magic works inside this rolling power plant.
So how exactly do you move 2,600 people using just hydrogen? Well, it all comes down to its unbelievable energy density. Hydrogen packs a mind-blowing 120 megajoules of energy per kilogram. Compare that to just 43 megajoules for diesel. It's incredibly potent. That makes it the ultimate clean propulsion fuel, giving you a really long operational range, but without the heavy carbon footprint you get from fossil fuels.
Now, what's really interesting here is how it unlocks that energy. Unlike a standard diesel locomotive that literally burns fuel in an engine to create mechanical power, this train doesn't burn a single thing. It features 2 driving power cars, one at the front and one at the back, that house these Proton Exchange Membrane fuel cells, or PEMFCs. These cells use an electrochemical process to generate a massive 2,400 kilowatts of electrical power right there on board.
Let's break down this clean science magic formula because it's actually beautifully simple. You take the hydrogen stored on the train, you combine it with oxygen pulled straight from the outside air, and boom, that reaction produces the electricity needed to turn the wheels. And the only byproduct from all of this? Water vapor and a little bit of heat. There's absolutely no combustion, zero smoke, and no tailpipe carbon emissions. It's basically a rolling power plant that leaves behind nothing but water.
All right, on to Section 3, the safety blueprint. We're talking defense in depth. Now, obviously, with incredible power comes incredible responsibility. It's a totally natural question to ask. Is it actually safe to put thousands of passengers on a train powered by a highly flammable gas? It's the elephant in the room. Because hydrogen is completely colorless and odorless, you can't just rely on human senses to smell or see a problem.
Well, to handle that, Indian Railways uses a strict, internationally accepted principle called defense in depth. Basically, they aren't relying on just one single safeguard. They have layers of overlapping, redundant systems. We're talking continuous, hypersensitive leak, heat, and flame detectors scattered everywhere. There's nonstop ventilation so that if even a microscopic leak ever happened, the gas would be instantly diluted and vented safely outside. There are automated systems that will instantly cut off the hydrogen supply without even waiting for human intervention if anything looks abnormal. Plus, the loco pilot has a special emergency mode to quickly move the train to safety, supported by real-time health screens monitoring every single valve. And just to prove all of this actually works, the whole system went through rigorous, independent third-party safety certification by TÜV Süd in Germany.
Let's pivot to Section 4, the Jind refueling ecosystem.
Because you can't exactly just pull a massive hydrogen train up to a standard diesel pump, right? You need a highly specialized infrastructure. And India's largest railway hydrogen refueling facility has been purpose-built at Jind in Haryana to do exactly that.
This proves the required ecosystem isn't just theory, it's a reality today. It's fully approved by the Petroleum and Explosive Safety Organization and follows incredibly strict international NFPA-2 fire safety standards. It can store nearly 3,000 kilograms of hydrogen at any given time, which guarantees the train has a constant, reliable supply of fuel.
Let's move along and see how this builds into a seamless three-stage refueling process. First up, the facility actually produces its own green hydrogen right there on site using electrolysis. That means they're splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen using electricity. Next, that gas is compressed to an immense 500 bar. That pressure is what allows them to pack a huge amount of fuel into a much smaller storage volume. Finally, when the train arrives, the fuel is dispensed at 350 bar through 2 independent dispensers, and that's key because it means both power cars on the train can be refueled at the exact same time, drastically cutting down turnaround delays.
Finally, Section 5, Costs and the Future. So the crucial point here, and it's something that happens whenever a completely new tech launches, people immediately ask about the price tag. But as Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw rightly pointed out, it is so vital to understand that we are looking at the pilot phase of a brand new innovation. When you're designing a completely new traction technology from scratch, building out prototypes, and creating custom infrastructure, it inherently carries high initial R&D costs. You simply cannot fairly compare the cost of this first-of-its-kind ecosystem to mature, heavily established diesel or electric networks that have enjoyed decades of cost optimizations and economies of scale. The investment right now is all about building capacity, learning the ropes, and paving the way for the future. And that future is incredibly exciting. Indian Railways is already taking the operational data and safety protocols they're learning from this Jind-Sonipat launch and figuring out how to expand it. In fact, they're looking at deploying this exact zero-emission technology on beloved heritage railways next, like the breathtaking Kalka-Shimla route. Just imagine traveling through those pristine mountain environments on a train that leaves absolutely nothing behind but a trail of water vapor. It's not just a new train, it's a totally new way of thinking about how we travel. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.